Welcome. How is everyone? Is anyone here? I can't tell. I can't remember if the comments show up in my StreamYard or if I have to go to
YouTube
to see them. I'm going to go there and see. Okay. Oh, now I see you. That's weird because I didn't see you in the studio. But you are on camera.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird because in the studio I couldn't see you.
Here I am.
Okay, it doesn't say, it looks like it's only us here right now, so maybe
Okay.
we'll give it a few minutes for people to come in.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be anyone here yet. We did get 2 likes though.
Cool. One of them was me.
Okay,
Alright. But we got one. That's good.
that's a good start. Yes, absolutely. Huh. Yeah, I don't know if I should just go ahead and do my intro or...
Sure. Maybe see if people pop in as we talk.
Okay, so we'll do that. So welcome everybody to Kaleidoscope of Crime. I've written a little intro here. Today we're going to be talking about parental alienation with TJ Moonan. I hope everyone's doing good today, enjoying the sunny weather if you have it like I do. I hope so. Today we're going to be talking about parental alienation, which may not necessarily fall under the traditional definition of a crime, but it absolutely should. Because it is an abuse and an injustice to both the parents and the children who are enduring it. First, for anyone who hasn't heard of parental alienation, I want to share the definition of parental alienation and explain what it is and its effects on children. Parental alienation occurs as part of a high conflict divorce or separation, and as a part of this conflict, one parent will engineer the alienation of the child or children against the other parent. This is achieved by pressuring the child to hate their other parent, false allegations of abuse, neglect, and/or infidelity, open criticism of the other parent in front of the child, and other forms of mental and emotional abuse. Neglect and lost my spot. And manipulation. As a result of this abuse, the child can develop an unhealthy attachment to and reliance on the alienating parent. They develop a sense of rage toward the alienated parent and a lack of empathy. In extreme cases, the child will refuse to have a relationship with the alienated parent, and this estrangement can last a lifetime. Not only does the child miss out on a loving, supportive relationship with their other parent and extended family, they are programmed to believe the abusive parent. In extreme cases, the child may believe that the alienated parent abused them, and they may develop manufactured memories and traumas related to this fictitious abuse. As a result, adult survivors of parental alienation may experience difficulty in forming and maintaining healthy relationships an inability to tolerate anger or hostility, drug and alcohol dependency, splitting, conflict with authority figures, alienation from their own children, and an unhealthy sense of entitlement to their own rage and anger. As parents, it is our role to protect, nurture, and guide our children, and parental alienation denies us the ability to do this. For the alienated parent, they are forced to fight against false accusations, which can lead to a loss of friendships, family, relationships, employment, and even housing. This is in addition to the obvious traumas of losing the relationship with their child or children. Because I myself have experienced a mild form of parental alienation both as a child and a parent, I do understand to some degree the emotional trauma of this abuse, and I feel I must spread awareness, love, and support to fellow survivors and to those who haven't experienced alienation. So, to help me spread this awareness, TJ Moonan has agreed to join with me in this live stream today. TJ lives in Derry, New Hampshire, USA. He is a longtime alienated parent and an advocate to fellow parents facing the same abuse. So, now that I've prattled on for far too long, let's welcome TJ to the show. Hi,
Hello, Tanya.
TJ. How are ya?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it very much. How are we doing?
I am doing good, thank you. I
Good.
see we have AJ watching and maybe three other people, three or four,
Excellent.
so that's
Welcome.
awesome.
Welcome.
Hi, AJ. Thank you for being here. So I have some questions now. I know what I did wrong there. Okay.
Okay. I want to apologize for taking so long to get back to you about doing this.
That's okay. Life happens for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I do have some questions for TJ, and then after he and I are done our Q&A, we will have questions in the chat. So when we get to that point, then any questions you have, I will share them on screen with TJ, and we can
Thank you,
answer
AJ, for
those.
tuning. Thank AJ for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Thank you, AJ. Good to see you. Uh-oh, lost my page.
Hope we can answer some questions for you.
Okay, nope, that's not what we want. Where did they go? Uh-oh. Too many pages.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm fine. So,
Okay, so how about we start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself and your experience of parental alienation?
okay. Well, the experience with parental alienation started for me back in 1997 when I started having difficulty being able to see my daughter, um, and I was separated from her in 1998 for quite a period of time, and in researching the subject, I found out what it was through Dr. Craig Childress. He gave seminars and reports on it, and I found out all this information. But back then, it wasn't even discussed anywhere outside of the occasional panel in Texas or Montana or somewhere. That there's very little discussion about it. And once the internet became a little more uh, active, it became more widespread, and through social media today, it's becoming more uh, prevalent. But there's still such a long way to go to repair it for future generations. That's my concern now. So,
I completely agree with you. So Did you want to discuss your marriage and how long you were married and how old your daughter was when you divorced?
Sure. We got married in 1987, um, and 3 months after our wedding, I got hit in the head with it's a long story, but I fractured my skull, and for the next 6 months, my ex wife was basically my mother, and the relationship changed at that point, and uh, a lot of things happened, and um, I, as I recovered from the skull fracture and got back to work, and I ended up going back to college, and um, I started getting real confident with myself. And what ended up happening was in 1990, I had a relationship with another woman, and what happened was I told my ex-wife about it. She moved out for a week, um, and she came back, and at that point, we were going to work on making the marriage work, and we took a trip to California for a 2 week vacation. And when we came back, we found out she was pregnant. And not too long after that, um, that was in July of 1990. And then in October of 1990, I met another woman and ended up having another relationship. And I knew there was something wrong and I had to stop doing what I was doing. Either that or I had to get out of the marriage. And now I had a child on the way, so I really didn't know what to do. I knew that I wanted to be there for the child. And um, I made a decision to stay until the child was born. And then I would tell my wife that I couldn't work on the marriage anymore. And basically, that's what happened. And what I found looking back, it's easy to look back and see what happened and see the red flags that were there that couldn't be seen. But
Mhm.
it was around the time that my daughter was just about to be born, and even after right after she was born, my ex-wife started asking me questions about what it was like for me when I was a child. I was molested by family members, and she started asking a lot of questions about that. And then after I, it was actually 1 month after my daughter was born that I ended the marriage. I told her I didn't want to work on the marriage anymore, and it was at that point she was she was making it really difficult for me to be a part of my daughter's life. At that point, she moved back with her mother. She took everything out of the house except for a couch, a plate, a knife, a fork, and a spoon. And I was by myself. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I wanted to be a part of my daughter's life, and I visited her as much as I could. And oh God, the next it took about 9 months for us to get to court for the final divorce hearing, and in that time, at one point, I just couldn't live with myself anymore. I felt so much remorse and guilt about cheating on my wife, and our newborn daughter had to go through this separation of the two of us, and I ended up going into a hospital to get away from life and try to deal with this guilt and remorse I was dealing with. And I ended the relationship with the other woman, and you know, uh, I really wanted to work on the marriage, but it's a long story. But my ex-wife decided that it would be better to get a divorce, so we scheduled the divorce hearing right when I got out of the hospital. And because I was in a mental hospital, uh, the, my visitation was ordered to be supervised. So I had supervised visitation basically the whole time I had any visits with her at all, the first 7 years of her life. And it was, there's an awful lot to it. Um, The visits mostly were supervised by her mother, my ex-wife. Um, a couple of times we had professionals supervise the visits. One was a school teacher who was a mutual friend of ours, and one was a woman who worked for DSS in Mass. Um, at the end, we were visiting at a supervision center in Salem, New Hampshire, and what would happen was there was something going on in the background because my daughter was looking at me weird when she'd come in for the visits, and there was something going on. And when what would happen was with the visitation center is um, when I had to get there 10 minutes before she arrived, and I had to stay 10 minutes after she left before I could leave. It was ridiculous, and um, so she would arrive, and when she arrived at the session, I would grab her, give her a hug, and tell her I love her. Well, the supervisor started telling me not to initiate physical contact with her. And I basically said, screw you. I'm paying you $60 to see my daughter for 1 hour. I'm going to give her a hug when I see her once a
Mm-hmm.
week, you know. So the supervisor wrote in the notes inappropriate physical contact, which
For
set off,
hugging your daughter.
yep, set off a whole stream of investigations. And
Oh my
it
goodness.
took 5 years to get another visit with her. And in that 5 years, I mean, all she heard about was what a monster dad is. You know, I had no contact with her. I couldn't have any contact with her. I wrote
I'm
a play.
sorry, I have a fly crawling across my
I
camera
saw
right
that. I
now.
was wondering, did it fly? Okay. Jeez. In
An
2002,
unexpected guest.
yeah, right. You never know who's going to show up on Kaleidoscope of Crime, right? There he is.
Yeah, go away, fly.
Oh, remind me, I'm going to send you a fly swatter for Christmas. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, but anyways, yeah, in 2002, I wrote a play that a local theater company produced, and I directed it. And I wrote it for my daughter, and it was produced. We did 5 shows, and um, she didn't come. I was kind of depressed that she didn't come, but somebody made a DVD of it, and I was able to at least get her a copy of the DVD. And it was after that I got another visit with her. She was 11 years old, just about to turn 12, and we met for an hour. And what had happened was the night before the visit, I was visiting with her on a Friday night, and on Thursday night, the night before, I got a call from my sister in Illinois who told me that my mom had gone to the hospital and would probably not be coming home from the hospital. So I went into my visit with my daughter, preoccupied with mom dying in Illinois, and uh, my first visit with my child, and I just couldn't be completely there, and that's killed me ever since. And so, we did the visit, and I thought it went well. But like I said, my head was all screwed up with mom.
Well,
The next day,
understandably, anyone would be.
I flew out to Illinois, and mom died the following Tuesday. So it was 4 days. But I saw my daughter for the last time on Friday, and my mom died on Tuesday. It was not a good week for me. So
No, that would be awful.
yeah, then it got difficult. She's with the
Sounds like
whole.
it already was.
Oh well, then there was the whole trying to get her back in my life. Um, she decided after that visit in 2003 that she didn't want to see me anymore because she was 12 years old now. She could make that decision in Massachusetts, which is completely ridiculous, but you know, it is what it is. And she was 12 years old, so I wasn't going to be able to have any contact with her for another 6 years. until she was 18. And then I tried, and I've been trying since, and she's just not willing to talk to me, not willing to let me tell her who I really am, not who she thinks I am, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's it was too easy for my ex-wife to use my daughter to get back at me. And you know, when we went for that divorce hearing, when I got the supervised visits, after
Mm-hmm.
the hearing was over, in the I was in the parking lot in my car, and my ex-wife came out to the car, to her car, and I called her over. I said, Renee, do me a favor. No matter what happens, don't use Amanda to get back at me. And she said, if I wanted to get back at you, I would have killed you by now. So, and the truth is, I wish she had killed me. You know, at least my daughter wouldn't have had to grow up thinking her dad was a monster. You know, so uh, I could see it. I could. I told her not to do it, and it was her plan all along. You know, so
So you mentioned red flags earlier. Would you mind elaborating on that a little bit and explaining what sorts of red flags
well, when she
that you
started,
weren't aware of at the time that now you look back, which is easy to do,
mm-hmm,
look back now, but when you're experiencing it, it's so easy to miss those flags. So are there any that you would like to share so that other people can be aware in their own lives or even in just
mm-hmm. Oh,
other people
absolutely.
they know?
Absolutely. Like I said, with the when she started asking me about being me being molested when I was a child, you know, I should have. I there was no way I could have known what she was planning to do at that point because, you know, my daughter wasn't even born at that point. We were still married, but she was building it. I know that she. I'm sure that she knew that I was cheating, just because of my behavior. You know,
Mm-hmm.
staying out late and. Um, Plus the fact that I had already cheated once. So I didn't see her planning a strategy, so to speak. Um, the other
No, you
things
wouldn't.
are like with my daughter, with my visits with my daughter, seeing her back off. You know, it's hard to see because you love the child so much, but you don't know what she's seeing. You know, it's
Yeah.
really important to know what your child sees so that you can be a it's just more in tune with who they are. You know, because she was being told one thing, and when she saw me, I think she was scared that something might happen because of what she was hearing at home. To be honest, she was being coached at home that something
Well,
might
and
happen.
and especially since she was just a baby when the two of you broke up, she didn't have that chance to have memories and relationship built with you prior to the divorce.
Mm-hmm. Not
So
at
I
all.
think so I think that would have definitely assisted your ex in creating the narrative that she wanted out there.
Absolutely. Oh, she like I said.
Because
I
she would have
mean,
been fed that narrative right from the beginning, and she didn't have that prior relationship and existence with you to kind of compare it against.
right. She was separated from me. You know, at 1 month old. You know,
Yeah.
so you know she never had that much time to spend. I think the most time we spent together in one day after the divorce was 5 hours, and that was because the supervisor that I was paying to see her was only charging me $20 an hour. I could afford $100 to see my daughter for a day. You know, I took her to a carnival. You know, it was a nice day. You know, we had a lot of good times, me and my daughter. You know, um, but you know, those memories are what I hold on to. You know, the good times that we had. There weren't many, but the ones that were there are very very bold in my memory and won't go anywhere for sure.
So you've been estranged from your daughter for 31 years, right?
No, she's 31 years old. I've been
Oh,
estranged from
sorry.
her for 24 years. when she was
24.
7.
Okay.
Yeah, 24 years, and it's been quite a journey.
And in that time, you've become an advocate for other parents who are alienated from their children and
Mhm.
experiencing very difficult divorces. How did that come to be? Like, how did you start helping other people?
Back in um, Back in 2016, I was talking with a friend of mine, this woman out in California. Her name's Tracy Ross, and she filled me in on how the government acted on uh, to basically create the business that is family law. They they took the Social Security Act here in the United States. I know you're in Canada, but what happened to me, what got me to being where I am is I learned that they use the Social Security Act to get money from non-custodial parents paying child support, as well as um, getting children into state care in some way, be it foster care or DCS homes or whatever. The government makes money by doing that. By destroying families, they basically make money.
Hmm.
When I heard this from Tracy, I started looking more into it and getting more active with spreading the word, basically trying to get it out there. You know that the government is basically if you have a job and you're working in the United States, you're paying um, into Social Security, and by doing so, you're basically paying child support because the money that you're putting into our Social Security trust fund is being used to pay judges and lawyers and court officials. So when I found that out, I started working more with really groups than it was with individuals. And then over the last few years, I had a stroke a couple of years ago, and since then I haven't been able to be as physically active. So I've been working more on a um, mostly online, really working with people who are going through family court who are struggling with different parts of the process. There are so many things that are involved that you don't know about. If you don't have, if you can't afford a lawyer in family court, you're on your own. You're not, you
Hmm.
don't get one. The Constitution is completely bypassed in family court. Right? There's no due process whatsoever, and so try to be there to help. And there are many others just like me, and you can find them in all the different groups. If you want answers to the places to find the answers to your questions on family law, are in people like Keith Marsolik and Michael Ludwig and Eric Carroll. These people they're getting the word out on Title IV and all the things that are wrong with this the whole family court process. It's just a joke. So in that time, since the stroke, I've been working more with individuals um, and just helping them to deal with what the process is, whether it's filling out paperwork or just being, someone who understands, who can tell. I can tell you what the next step is going to be and how you can prepare for it. I've been through family law. I've been destroyed by family law personally, but I've learned enough to be able to help those who are going through it now and don't want to be uh, you know, taken by the courts because it's really uh, the courts are trying. The longer your case takes with the courts, the more money the courts make. So that's what they're all about. It's
So
all
they
about.
want to drag it out and have more and more hearings and more and more.
Yeah. Yep.
different things happening so that they're getting bigger paychecks.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So it's a racket, really. You know,
Yeah.
sad. And I was telling somebody was asking me about it earlier today. I told him, it might have been you, about how in the '60s there was the free love movement, and in the '70s the women's lib, and
Yeah.
divorce just became rampant, and the government took advantage of it. They created the family law business. So it's sad. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no reason to have a family law system. Anything that's done in family court can be done either in civil court or in criminal court. If you're
Mm-hmm.
late on your child support, you go to criminal court. If there's a visitation issue, you go on civil court. Plain
Yeah.
and simple. What else is there?
Yeah. So, what changes would you like to see to, well, I guess you'd rather not see family law at all, but what sorts of changes would you like to see in society and the awareness and just so the protection of children and families?
Yep, the children are the ones that get hurt the most in this
Mhm.
whole process, and that's
Mhm.
what's getting important. What's important is that people who don't know are informed. People who don't
Mhm.
know that, you know, you might not have children, but you're still paying child support. You know, and and
Mhm.
and those questions can be answered. You know, uh, I'm more than willing. Like I said, there are many groups out there that are willing. So, and if you want to get in touch with me, you can. I'll send you a list. No problem with that.
Yeah, and I've included your email and your phone number in the show notes. So if anybody is experiencing this or you know someone who's experiencing this and either you or they need help, reach out to TJ.
And like I said,
And
there are others. If you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, there are people I can go to who know the answer. So,
yeah.
and it's the same all around. It's a whole network here. You know,
Mhm.
it's it's got to be utilized because there's got to be a change. There has to be
Mhm.
a change because the future generations are are in big trouble. It's to the point where family isn't even you know the norm anymore. You know, with all the violence and dysfunction, especially in this country, it's entirely because of you know the destruction of the family. You know, there's no continuity. There's no. It's really a sad. It's sad to see. I feel like we're the last generation to really understand what family was about. You know, it's
Mhm.
sad. It's a sad statement to make, but it's just the way it is, unfortunately.
In one of our conversations earlier, you mentioned the paradox of hope of parental alienation. Oh, I've got a dog here. Uh, what do you mean by that?
Well, that goes back to the whole process. You know, I, they took my right to see my daughter away from me, and I had that hope, and I rode that hope as hard as I could until I got another visit, and then by then
Mhm.
it was too late. Um, that hope is always there that I'm going to see her, but the paradox is, I it's a good chance I won't see her.
Yeah.
It's the hope is there despite the hope. Despite
Mhm.
itself. It's really sad. It's really sad because, like I said, how the court wants the case to go on longer and longer. That's why it took
Mhm.
5 years for them to complete their investigation of me. And
Which is far too long.
way too long. And that
And
time,
it's detrimental to the child to drag it out like that.
she's losing time with her father. I'm
Mhm.
I'm visiting with her in a supervised situation. I would
Mm-hmm.
visit her until she's supervised, until she's 18. I don't care. Just let me be a part of my daughter's life. Let her know
Mm-hmm.
who her father is, And they didn't want to do that. That wasn't an option.
So
My
what
ex-wife
would
didn't want to do that, and family law made it possible for her not to have to do it.
mm-hmm.
Her goal was for me not to hurt my daughter the way I hurt her. She wasn't going to let me hurt her daughter. She was going to get me out of my daughter's life, and that was her purpose all along. I know that because, like I said about before, our daughter was born. She was asking me about the molestation stuff. It's so easy to see now.
So I'm assuming the false allegations you mentioned centered around allegations of
Of
sexual
molestation.
abuse and molestation and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, like I said, the supervisor wrote down inappropriate physical contact.
From a
What else is
hug.
it going to mean? And I'm wondering, the worst part of this,
I
the
hug
part that
people that
kills
aren't
me,
even my child. How is that not okay?
you know, uh, exactly. And what kills me about the whole thing is my ex-wife, my ex-mother-in-law, my daughter even never had to show that something actually happened. I had to prove
Well,
that it didn't
and you
happen.
were only present in the home for 1 month after she was born.
Correct.
Where did these allegations come from? You weren't even there to do it.
Apparently, what was happening, like I said, she was being coached. Her mother and her grandmother, I know for a fact, I would bet my life on it. Were coaching her, asking her, "Did he touch you here? Did he touch you there?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure of it. I'm absolutely sure of it, and that's where it came from. That's why she started. My daughter started looking at me weird at the end of our visits. The last few
And
months.
that type of coaching in itself is traumatic for the child. That
Exactly,
questioning, that coaching.
exactly.
And then it can create false memories in the child
She's
that they
31 years
really
old and
believe
still doesn't.
that, and they have no idea
No,
that this
it's
isn't
been a
real.
it's
And
been
they
a
get
lie.
this trauma that they didn't have to have.
It's been a lie since she was 7, and she's 31 now, and she still believes the lie. You know,
Hmm.
and if you believe it long enough, it becomes your truth. You
It
know,
does. It does. And that's awful. That's an
Mm.
awful thing to inflict on anybody.
Yeah. And my ex-wife's going to have to answer for it somewhere down the road. Um, I just hope I'm there when she does. I want to see her. I just there's an it's hard for me because I've got this intense love for my daughter and a growing hate for my ex-wife, But at the same time, I really want my ex-wife just to do the right thing, Just do the right thing. Tell your daughter the truth, you know. Everyone's going to benefit from it, you know. But
Well, except for her.
in this life, right?
And that's the challenge is, you know, that's the crux of it is it's all about her. It never was about the daughter. It never was about you. It
Nope.
was all about her.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And it was a team. It was a tag team effort. Her and her mother. They're
Yeah.
the ones who made this happen. So,
So is there anything you want your daughter to know about you that
well, I tried to get as much as across to her as I can, but she doesn't. She won't take my
mhm
messages, or she won't have anything to do with me. So, I've got paperwork. I've got stuff stored away that in the event that God forbid I pass away, it's there and it'll be gotten to her
mhm
somehow. You know, so. But I mean, I want her to know that I love her. I love her like a father loves a daughter, not some pervert she
yeah.
thinks I am. She's it's really sad for her. She's had
Mhm.
this. She doesn't even know she's had to suffer, and she doesn't even know. She doesn't even know. But
And that's not
that's the
right.
worst part, you know, the
Yeah.
worst. Poor child. But whew,
And she'll always be daddy's little girl
right, right. You know,
in your heart and in your soul and your mind. She'll always be daddy's little girl, and she doesn't even know it.
yeah,
And that is sad.
yeah. It really is. You know, I've literally missed, you know, her entire life. You know,
Hmm.
it was, you know, I missed high school, and you know, I went in 2009. She turned 18, and
Hmm.
um, I went to her high school reunion, Chelmsford, Mass. I still have the the booklet they get handed out at the graduation, and her name was on there, and I was just waiting for her to come up, and they skipped right over her name when it came up, and it turns out she wasn't there, and I at that point I was able to get in touch with her on Facebook. I found her on Facebook, and I started talking to her about it, and she said that she had had to leave the school that she was at, and she went to a charter school where she was a valedictorian. Not surprised. She was a very smart kid. Um, but we started talking then, and we actually had a good conversation going. She talked about coming up and having lunch and discussing everything with me. And then just out of the blue, she told me, no, no, I don't want anything to do with you. You're a pedophile and all this. And apparently what had happened was she must have told her mother that she got in touch with me. I got in touch with her online, and her mother told her to shut it down. And I'm sure that's what happened every single time. And now it's just ingrained in her. When she sees me, she shuts it down. That's why she shut down her page this time. You know, it's sad. I mean, I told her in the message I sent her, I told her, you know, you don't have to block me or shut your page down. I just want to. I'm not going to hassle you. I just want to make sure you're okay. You know,
Yeah.
but I don't even know if she read the message. You know, so it is what it is.
I'm sorry you're experiencing that. That is awful.
it's it's become normal, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
it shouldn't be normal for you or for anyone else. And that's why it's important that we talk about it. It's important
exactly.
that people understand the impact it has on the parents and the children
Hmm. Absolutely.
involved. As I mentioned earlier, I went through a mild form of parental alienation myself as a
Yeah,
child, as an adult. Um, and that in itself was hard enough. I can't imagine it being as extreme as what you've experienced.
I don't know. I don't.
In my case, it was actually my non custodial parent who was trying to turn me against my custodial parent.
Hmm. I can understand that.
And ironically, he really didn't want us. That was my father. He didn't really want us, but he still felt the need to make us hate our mother.
Yeah, that sucks. That's too bad.
And, you know, it's
I hope
had a
you.
greater impact on my sister than it has on me, but it's a difficult thing to experience as a child. And it was hard.
Yeah,
And it's taken a lot of years to heal that. But I can't imagine, you know, having a loving parent and not being allowed to have anything to do with them and being convinced that they hate you.
you know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like I said, you just.
That isn't
I
love when you do that to your child. That isn't love. That isn't nurturing and protection and caring
right,
like a
right. It's
child
selfish.
deserves.
It's
Yeah, it
selfish
is. It is. And it's abusive. It's absolutely abusive.
to everyone involved
Yep.
except her. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
It's
So I
frustrating.
think So I think that brings me to the end of my questions. Was there anything else you wanted to make viewers aware of, or anything I missed?
Oh, just spread the word. If you have any questions, by all means, if you're tuned in, you want to ask some questions, by all means, ask away. And we've got, like Tanya said, we have, just put my number and my email up there. By all means, get in touch with me with any needs. Everybody, everybody knows somebody who has an issue with family law, at least in
Mm-hmm.
America. It's just there's too
And
many.
in Canada.
There's 500,000 children in foster care. That means 500,000 children's families, two parents, four grandparents, siblings, are unfit to care for these children. That's not the
Mm-hmm.
case. Okay. The problem is there's money involved. There's
Mm-hmm.
money for each child that gets put into these uh, places, you know, these
Yep.
homes. And, believe me, there are good foster parents out there. I know there are great foster parents, and the exception is the ones that are abusive, or where children die. It's the exception to the rule, but it's still wrong that many children, that just it's just there are not that many bad relatives in 500,000 families. I'm sorry. It blows me away that it can't be seen by anyone. Anyone looking at that has to be look. You want to talk about a red flag? She's 500,000 children.
Yeah, that is a lot. That is a terrifying number.
And that's just foster care.
Yeah.
Thank
That
you,
doesn't
Maureen.
include the ones that are still in a family home, like maybe a grandparent or another family member.
That's what I'm saying. If there's 500,000 children that are in foster care, that means there's 1 million parents, and you know 2 million grandparents. All of these people, and that's not even counting siblings. That's how many people are not fit to care for these children. No, they went to foster care because they got money for it. It's a
Mm-hmm.
money process. Everyone makes money except for the parents. Parents get screwed, and the children are obviously their lives are uprooted. You know, at least one or two times before they get to the foster care they're going to, and from there, who knows? It's a
Mm-hmm.
crapshoot. These poor kids. It's really sad, very sad.
It is, and it shouldn't happen.
No,
It really
absolutely not.
shouldn't. Just wanted to say hello to Lorraine and thank you for joining us.
Lorraine Lindenberg, she's running for state rep here in New Hampshire. She's a good friend of mine.
Oh, good for her, and thank you
Yep,
for joining us. Nice to meet you, Lorraine.
yep, yep,
Good luck in your endeavors.
yep. She's a conservative Republican, as am I. So,
Okay. Okay, it was very nice of her to join us tonight, and
yes. Oh, I've been pushing it all over my page. I wish people would tune in. I'm going to post it on a couple of groups when we're done, in case they want to watch it afterwards.
yes, yes. We didn't get a lot watching the show, but that's fine. It will remain up. It will be there. I did private our previous show, but I will be putting that back public again.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was looking on the page and I didn't see anything up there. I was wondering about that.
I kind of went through some stuff.
Life
And
happens, right?
yeah, and I was going to stop, but never give up.
Nope,
Never give up.
nope. I'm
Even
glad
if
you
you
did.
go through a spell where you want to.
Yep, yep. In fact, I'm going to be starting my TV show again pretty soon. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I'll be doing it here in my home. I got my Donnell Gale paintings up behind me here. She's a friend of mine. She's an awesome painter.
Oh,
Um,
I've seen some of the ones you posted on Facebook. They're
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, she really is. She's really doing great. She's doing. more stuff than just wall art now too. So uh,
Okay.
yeah, I've got her her page on my page on Facebook. So
Okay.
I'll send you a I'll send you the website so you can
Oh,
see it.
yeah. I'd love to look at that.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, it's
So, does anyone have any questions or comments or anything you want to say before we shut her down, or how's everything going in the chat here?
thanks AJ. Appreciate you sticking around for the show.
Thank you for being here, AJ. I am a little familiar with AJ. She's a wonderful person.
Very she's informed now too.
She's pretty intelligent to begin with. I like AJ. She's good peeps.
Good deal.
She's been a wonderful supporter of mine since I started, so I appreciate it.
Excellent. Excellent. I've got a
And
couple of friends I'm going to introduce you to who might want to come on here and share a little bit.
sure, that would definitely be a welcome anytime.
Okay.
I do think it's an important thing to talk about. I know I started out to be about crime and primarily unsolved crime, but my big interest is injustice, and this is absolutely that.
Absolutely. Cool.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah. Hopefully one day it will be a crime. You know, parental alienation, that is.
yes, Lorraine Lindbergh says maybe legislation can help, and absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely, and I'm glad that she's showing an interest in this, and
Yep.
hopefully
We'll
she
talk.
can have some impact that way.
I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, we got Lorraine and I have a few friends around here uh, who are helpful in that. So hopefully we can do something with the legislation that'll make a change. At
Yeah.
least in New Hampshire. If we can start it here, we can move it through the
Well,
rest
you
of
have
the
to
state.
start somewhere, and the first step,
Yeah,
then build from there.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's long overdue. This has been going on for far too long.
I'm a quarter of a century in now. You know,
Yeah.
so what does it tell you? And it was going on long before I started too. Unfortunately, and hopefully we can make some changes. Uh, I'm glad we get
Yeah, and it
Lorraine in.
starts with talking. It starts with talking, and it starts with awareness.
Yep,
That's where it starts. You can't make a change if you completely ignore the problem.
yep.
And although I do generally focus primarily on Canada, this is a problem everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyone from anywhere is always welcome to share
Yep. Like I said, I've got
information,
friends.
share their experiences. I don't claim to know everything or even a lot about parental alienation. Like I said to you before we started the show, I didn't have a name for what I experienced until I met you and started
Right.
talking to you. And I didn't know what it was. I knew it happened. I knew that, it wasn't good, but I didn't know there was even a name for it.
Yep.
So I'm learning, and what I know and understand will change over time, I'm sure. But this is how we start.
That's right. That's right. If one person finds out, they can tell a friend. They can tell a friend. That's how it works.
Yeah.
We gotta get the word out. That's the most important thing. Awesome, Lorraine. That's great.
Thank you, Lorraine. That's much appreciated. Even by this silly little Canadian.
Oh, we'll get you up there, Tanya. Yeah, we'll hit
I
Canada
don't
when we're
know
done.
politics or understand politics at all,
Hmm. Yeah,
but I might have to get an education in it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way to actually make the change.
Yeah,
Sadly. So, standing out in front of a church, banging a bell ain't gonna change anything in
no,
the legal system. So,
no,
this whole the Roe v. Wade thing, everything, the division in this country is just, we're standing on very very limber ground right now. It's not
yeah.
good. I mean, we're just planning. It's basically building up to a civil war. It really is, and it's sad, real sad. So hopefully, we'll make 250 years. But I don't know. We're in pretty tough shape down here.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true, Lorraine.
Yep. Sad. Sad but true.
Is there any final advice that you have for parents experiencing family law issues, parental alienation, anything like that?
Just don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Um, there's help out there. Reach out for the help. It's
Mm-hmm.
there. Okay. There's a lot of people. I've I've probably in the last 2 decades uh, worked with hundreds of parents trying to get um, reunited with their children, and
Mm-hmm.
I've seen quite a few, and it's a good feeling to see that it does happen. It actually does happen, even though my situation hasn't been fruitful. There's been some out there that have been, and I think about some of the people that I've worked with, and I see their joy.
Mm-hmm.
Being with their children and posting their children's accomplishments and you know the pictures of graduations and so forth. It's a good feeling to know that I'm at least some part of their family. So
Mm-hmm.
someday the time will come. Hopefully one day she'll come and find me and we can talk it out. You know, but until then, just keep fighting on. So
Well, I appreciate everything that you're doing. I appreciate you coming on here today and for educating me and helping me understand what I've experienced and deal with that. You've been more of a help than you realize.
I appreciate it.
And yeah, I appreciate everyone who is out there fighting that fight and spreading the awareness, and hopefully we can keep on going and make positive changes.
Absolutely. Right. When all else fails, love works.
Oh, what did I miss here? Okay, I think that'll be it for today. Thank you to those who showed up. Only 4 or 5 people, but that's okay. That's 4 or 5 people that
Hope, yep.
hopefully learned a little something. And hopefully maybe we'll share this, or even just share their understanding of the issues with other people,
Yep.
or look into it more themselves. Um, and I think that's about it for today. So thank you everyone for coming. And thank you, TJ, for sharing all of this. I know you said before we started that you hadn't shared quite as much detail about your experience publicly, and I appreciate that you've done that. It's not an easy thing to do, I know. So much respect to you and thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it, Tanya.
All right. Thank you. Take care, everyone, and have a great day.
Awesome.